Jesus and I got. He's the ultimate prophet, filled with the Spirit of God. Let's see, Matthew 3:16, KJBU. And Jesus, when he was baptized, went up straight away out of the water, and Lord, the heavens were open unto him, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and lighting upon him. Let's go to Isaiah 11:1 and 2. And it shall come for the rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. And the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord. The Spirit of God rested on Jesus, he is not God. Jesus is the vessel clothed with the Spirit. The vessel never became the Spirit, and the Spirit never became the vessel. Jesus was the ultimate prophet, not God. There is one God of Israel, and none beside God. Jesus identified himself as a prophet, not God. Mark 6:4. And but Jesus said unto them, a prophet is not without honor, but in his own country, and among his own kin, and in his own house. The woman said unto him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet. John 4:9 KJV. She said, a prophet, not God. She said, a prophet, not God. And Jesus said none is good but the one God. So from here, let's go to Mark 10:18. And Jesus said unto him, why callest thou me good? There is none good but one, that is God. And we can see this in Psalms 129:5-8. For the Lord is good, one God. And Jesus was a prophet. God said, thus say the Lord, the King of Israel, and his Redeemer, the Lord of hosts. I am the first and I am the last, and beside me there is no God. You can find that in Isaiah 4:4. Jesus was the ultimate prophet, not God. There is one God of Israel, and none beside God.
Heavenly Father and Jehovah, the invisible, the architect of substance, he who speaks in the veil of darkness was rent by light. He who doth divide the waters and set the bounds unto the deep. He who doeth draw the line between the something and the nothing. The nothing could name itself until nothing. And until Jehovah, whom thou doest send to guide the wandering and to feed the famished with counsel, to cut only as a surgeon cuts, that the rot be removed and the life be spared. Oh, Father, I come low, not lofty. I come bruised, not boasting. I come with a heart that has tasted the sweetness and found bitterness, hiding beneath it as honey that returned to gall. And when we have swallowed in pride, I come having claps at the glitter and open my hand and find only smoke. In the memory of heat that never warms, I come as one who have walked through the house of mirrors and saw the cracks, who sat at the table and spread it by vanity and found ashes under the garnish, who chased the shining shadow and arrived at dust. I pray, Father. I pray, Father, to be gentle with me, for my soul has been handled roughly by this age. The night has been long, the thoughts have been loud, and the adversary has sung lullabies in my ears while binding my feet with silken cords. And I have been weary in the morrow, Father, for my strength has failed me. Like a lamp whose oil is spent, yet, Father, thy compassion doeth not faint. Let thy mercies find me as dew findeth the withered herb. So I pray, Father, praise in the ways of Jehovah. Thou hast shown me the enmity of vanity. And seeing thou hast made me sorrowful, I have watched how the nothing put on the garment of necessity, how money calleth itself safety, and how flesh calleth itself love, how achievement calleth itself purpose, and religion calleth itself thee. I have seen the merchant of smoke laid out his wares upon velvet, promises smooth as oil, lips dropping as a honeycomb, yet, Father, yet the end thereof is as wormwood, bitter, sharp, and cutting. So, Father, today I confess that I have had, and I held the gold of Havilah as though it was refuge. I have counted it, I trusted on the weight of it, and more the word of thy own mouth. But let the river of peace on compass me once more, and let thy living current encircle my inward land of desire, washing the dust from my sight and separating the treasures from glittering fraud. Refine what is precious and burn away what is false. And let the warmth seek to be in thy presence, and not harden sunlight dug from the earth. So I confess, that I have worn small crowns and have loved the sound of my own name. I have sat in the seat of little dominions as though myself was strong. Strip me, Father. Strip me gently, O Father. For pride is the garment of that itch. And the itching never endureth until it be torn away. Teach me to bow without being broken and to humble without being made hopeless, to be corrected without despair. And Father, I confess, I have been drunk from the cups of promise, comfort, and return to thirst. Pleasure, Father. Pleasures that burn, going down and burn and remembering, having mercy upon the thirsty soul. And I ask to pour into me water that do not mock the mouth, and let my lips be satisfied with thy statutes. And let my inner man be nourished by thy judgments, even when it cuts thee, Father. And I confess that I gaze in the mirror and believe their whispers was worth beauty, power, and I ask to break the charm by the words of Jehovah shattering in the flattering glass that turn worship inwards until the soul collapse upon itself. Turn my eyes toward unto thee, and the inward only enough to repent. And now, Father, I am weak, my flesh is yet, and I ask that you keep me. The wares are displayed. The cups are still filled. The whisper still rides on the wind, and I cannot keep myself. I have proven it, Father, only thou keepest with me. Only thy word can anchor me. Only thy spirit can show me the smoke before the breath ends. I ask to set aside upon me, like the onyx sealed stone in the heart upon the arm, black with remembrance, firmly with testimony, unyielding, Father, to the heat of temptation. Let me be marked as thine. Let thy steps be ordered, and my lights in my steps, Father, be guarded. And let the beloved chambers of thy rest receive me this Sabbath, where the noise cannot enter, and nothing cannot speak. Let the nothing return to nothing, and let the something remain. And I pray this, Father, in the ways of Jehovah, as we move forward with this teaching. And with Jehovah, I will always pray in. Amen. And shalom, everyone. Shalom. I want to welcome everyone to the house of the Lost Sheep of Israel, and also to the house of Jehovah. I'm the pastor here with King James Bible University, and also over here with House of the Lost Sheep of Israel. And I want to welcome each and every one of you guys here today. We have a special thing that's going to be going on today, and as we'll be moving forward, and we have a lot of announcements that's actually going to be in the back today in Zoom. So the same thing is, I want to bring this up before we actually get started. The Passover is coming up, and it's a few months away. However, it's already oversold. So we already made provisions to where we can take care of that, but it's already oversold. We turned back many people. So if you try to cash app it, as I sent back quite a bit, we do send it back to you, because this is already sold out. We appreciate everyone who are participating in it, but a lot of things is a lot of people have to understand the seriousness on what's happening and what we need to do. What thus said the Lord. And one of the things is this, and all we got to understand what's happening. See, a lot of people take Passover and other feast days, they take them as really just something to do. But the same thing it holds to is what's being required of you. And when most people sit there and say, well, I just do what the Lord say to do. And if you're not making sure you're taking care of what you need to do, that's telling him, you reverencing him with your lips. Your hearts is far from me. And this is nothing to where we get compensated or anything of that sort. We don't make money. We don't ask for money, but we just do what's required of us. And that's the point of this here. That's why it's so important for us to follow what he's saying, to where we can be highly edified of his word. That's one. And as we continually move forward. So that's one. And the main thing is we have a lot of people we're going to have a lot of first timers, but this is a joyous time. The reason why is this is the first place over in America where all three feasts, exactly on what's supposed to happen, is actually set up in the U.S. So that's something that's important. But that's something as we move it forward on what's we need to do and what's required of us. So that we have that there. But then also we have a stacked plate for that day. We have a stacked plate for that day, and it's a joyous thing on what we're doing. So we have a lot of people who'll be moving forward. And also, once you come inside this Zoom today, we do have one thing that, they're going to give you some information on what's, on you getting your hotel reservations and everything there. So that will be going out. And so I know a lot of people are saying, hey, where is this? Where is that? A lot of that information will be going out today. So if you're part of it, make sure that you join us in Zoom today to make sure of that. And that's what we'll be getting, as we're going through. I also have one other thing that we do want to bring up, is based on the description. In the description, I write many times dark parables. And we're going to be seeing one today where I'm going to be speaking and I'm going to be showing you in an EPUB. I wrote a parable, but then also showing you what's concerning on what's happening. The reason why is it's going to take about 45 minutes to go through this. Maybe could be up to an hour to make sure you can understand on what I'm going to get into. Understanding what vanity, what this nothing is, destiny. We have to know this. So make sure, as they say, you make sure you have your book, your pen, your paper, and write down various notes, because it's going to be key to understanding what's happening. And I'm going to be giving them to you in what I'm going to be speaking about before we get into the scriptures. So this will help most people. And I'm going to tell you why I'm doing it this way. We have to do it this way in many ways, because we have a lot of people that's still really proud about, asking questions. So the same thing is what I'm doing now is I'm going to try to pump as much information to you. The little deers that like to hang out in the bushes and kind of peek around. I'm going to feed you this information to help you better understand on what needs to happen. So then when we get to the meat of the situation, you can pretty much understand it. Fair enough? That's what we're going to be doing. And as we go through that, we hopefully that everything will be coming through. So this here is destiny. And the thing is here, I have actually the picture is me. And but this is the cry of a prophet. The cry of a prophet. This is my cry. And the reason why, I'm just trying to be the best servant that the Most High can have in this time. Nothing more, nothing less. So I try to find different ways in making sure his people can be fed. So I'm gonna put this up right now to where we can start getting the understanding on what's happening here. And we should be able to see the words. If not, I'm gonna sit there and I'll make it solid. So I'm looking at that, and I want to sit there and see what I end up seeing, because I'm gonna check it myself. And we can see it, but I'm gonna make it a little bit more solid. Let me make it more solid to where we can take care of that. And I have another way of doing it. I want to check this out on real quick. I want to check that one. I know that one we can sit there and see, but I want to check one more thing. I want to check this one. I want to check that one. That one should do it. And I'm going to check that one there. That one should do it. Let me make sure. Just give me 1 second to where it can flip over. Once it flip over, I think I can run to it from that part. Yeah, this is good. That's good. So what we want to do, we want to run this. So we want to understand something. So we're going to be going through it for a minute. And it's going to, just like I said, going to take time. But I want you to pay real close attention. Put on your spiritual ears, so those who can hear. I want you to really pay attention on what's going to be said here in the scriptures. And it starts that it's this epistle of Michael, which is me, I'm speaking, and concerning the nothing. We're going to have this, and we have it broken down in chapters. And if you see here, you can see it's broken into 30 chapters, but it's really not that, because I just made the print bigger, so that made it have more pages. But it tells you that it says, in the 13th year after I began to walk in the precepts of Jehovah, in the days when the nations were drunk upon the nothing, the word of the Lord came to me in a vision, saying, write unto the people, that is which shall show thee concerning the vanities of this generation. And I, Michael, was in the spirit upon the Lord's day. And I beheld the multitudes of the earth running to and fro, seeking rest, but finding none, gasping in vapor and closing their hands upon smoke. Key, just for you guys. And I cried out, saying, O Lord Jehovah, how long shall the children of men pursue the nothing? Believing it is treasure, how long shall they drink from the broken cistern that holds no water? And the voice answered me above in a dream, saying, write unto them what thou hast seen, in what is, and what shall be hereafter. For the time is short, and the nothing shall consume those who have not discerned the something. Now therefore hear me, ye followers of Christ, and give ear unto my words. All that have escaped the pollutions of the world through the knowledge of Jehovah, I speak not of myself, but as one upon whom the Spirit rested for this purpose. When the times pass, I open unto you the dark speech concerning the nothing, that which destiny selleth in the marketplace of the world, that which have no substance, which appeareth glorious, that which the preacher declared to be vanity of vanities. And I show you from the laws of Moses how Jehovah has set Israel life and death, something and nothing, and commanded them to choose life, that they in their seed might live. And I show you how destiny uses only visible things to deceive. For he cannot counterfeit the voice of Jehovah. He cannot produce the word that bringeth life. He can only produce images and representations that draw the carnal eye away from the invisible truth. And I declare unto you the legal distinction that the Spirit of Jehovah was upon the prophets. Not that the prophets were Jehovah. So no prophet that ever came and was claimed to be a prophet were Jehovah. For no man hath seen God at any time, and he dwelleth in the light which no man can approach unto. These things I spake unto you, that ye might have understanding. But now I am pressed in the spirit to speak further. And I have seen the vanities of this present age, and my soul is vexed within me. Everybody understand that thus far? So all you got to do is put eyes, because I'm going to continue reading. For I looked upon the generations of this day, and I'm speaking of this day, the 26th, and I behold that they have multiplied to nothing. Beyond all generations before them, they carried in their hands devices, glowing lights, and upon these devices they behold images without ceasing, images of flash, images of wealth, images of flame, and they bow down unto these images from morning until night. And I said unto the Lord, what is this I see? The people seem not to walk, neither to converse, neither to lift up their eyes unto heaven, but they are bent over their devices as slaves over their grinding. And the Lord answered me, saying in a vision, thou seest rightly. For they have made idols that fit in the palm of their hands. And they worship these idols more devotedly than ever, that their fathers worshiped Baal and Ashtaroth. For at last the worshipers of Baal went out unto the high place to worship, but this generation, 2026, worship in their beds, in their closets, and at their tables. And they cannot put them down, their idols, even for a space of an hour. Remember to scroll through the images, the other men's lives, they covet what they see, they behold. The houses they cannot afford. The bodies they cannot possess. The vacation they shall not never take. In happiness they should never find. And the covetousness entered into the souls as water into a sponge, and they are filled with discontent, though they possess more than their fathers ever dreamed. For this is the same nature of the nothing, that it cannot satisfy, for these is no substance to fill the void. He that drink of the nothing shall thirst again. His thirst shall be greater than before, but he that drink of the something, even the living water that Jehovah giveth, shall never thirst, but it shall be in him as a well springing up unto everlasting. Moreover, I beheld a young man and a young woman and young women of this generation, 2026, of my heart was grieved. For they have sold their souls unto the mirror, for the device posting images of themselves for the approval of strangers, counting the heart of those who have never met. This should resonate with many of you guys. You guys just put eyes if this resonating with you. Measuring their worth by the opinions of those who know them not. The young women painted their faces and poses their body and displays themselves upon this platform. They call it this influence, but I say unto you, she is influenced by the nothing to become the nothing for the consumption of others. And the young man boasts of his gains of muscle, gains of money, gains of women, and he displayed his acquisitions as a merchant, displayed his wares, but all his gains or losses, for he have gained the nothing and lost the time that he should have spent pursuing the something. They call this social. But they are isolated. They are called it connection, but they are disconnected from the connection that matters, connection to Jehovah through his words. They have 10,000 followers, but no friends that's to sit with them in affliction. They have millions of views, but have one, but no one to see the truth of their empty souls. They have verified accounts, but their souls remain unverified in the books of heaven. Does this resonate with some of you guys? Is this resonating with some of you guys? For what do it profit a man to gain the whole world of flowers and loses his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for a soul? How many likes, how many shares, how many comments can purchase one moment of eternal life? And I saw in the vision a man who labored for a great corporation. And his labor was grievous. He rose before the sun answered in glowing messages upon his device, and he labored until after the sun has set. And even into the night, his device called upon him, called unto it, and he could not rest. And I said, wherefore doeth this man labor so greatly? Is it for bread to feed his children? Is it for shelter to cover his household? And the voice answered me in a vision, nay, for his bread is plentiful and his house is enlarged. He laboreth for digits, numbers in account that grow ever larger, but never large enough. He laboreth for status, a title that soundeth important, but shall be forgotten before his grave is covered with grass. And his wife sitteth alone, for he is married to his labor. The children knoweth him not, for he is a father of his career, and his soul withers within him. He feedeth it the nothing to achievements, while starving the something for communion with Jehovah. And in the end, what shall remain? The corporation will replace him within a month. The title shall pass to another. The digits shall be spent by heirs who loved him not, because they knew him not. And his soul shall stand before Jehovah, having pursued vapor all his days. This is the lot of man under the sun. As the preacher declared, all is vanity. Vexation of spirit. There is no profit in all labor wherewith he laboreth under the sun. Then my soul was troubled. And I said unto the Lord, how shall the people escape the nothing, when they have been woven unto every aspect of their lives? For behold, remember, when I awake, the nothing calleth unto them through the device. When they travel, the nothing speak to them through the advertisement. When they rest, the nothing entertaineth them through the screen. When they worship, the nothing have entered even there through the 666 denominations of their doctrines of men. And the Lord answered me in a vision, saying, the escape is the same as it have been since the beginning. The word that cometh from my mouth, the seed that felleth upon good ground, the voice that speaketh without similitude, for I change not. Though the nothing multiplied, the something remaineth the same. Though vapors increases, substance abideth. Though destiny invented new deceptions, the truth of my law standeth forever. Therefore, I say unto them, return to the precepts that was established from the beginning. Return to the laws of Moses, where the distinction between the something and the nothing was first made plain. Return to the commandments that separate the holy from the profane, eternal from the temporal, the life from death. I set before you this day blessings and cursings, life and death. Therefore choose life that ye and your seed may live. And I considered the matter further, and I saw the nothing have corrupted even the houses that call upon the name of Jehovah. Here, that's why I wrote this. For there are come in those last days preachers of prosperity, men who stand as angels of light, but are servants of mammon, who promises blessings, but deliver bondage, who speak the language of Zion, but peddle the words of Babylon. These speak the words unto the people, saying, sow your seed, and Jehovah is obligated to multiply it back to you, unto thee. But they have made the Most High a celestial investment broker, a heavenly slot machine that payeth when the lever of the tide is pulled. Tell me this is not true. Tell me, please somebody tell me this is not true. They tell the widows to give their last mite and watch God move. But they themselves move in private jets purchased with the mites of widows. They tell the sick to claim their healing while they visit the finest physicians that mammon can afford. And the people love to have it so. For these teachers scratch and itching ears of the carnal mind. They promise the nothing that flesh desire. Money, health, success, comfort, all dressed in biblical language, all present as the will of Jehovah. But Paul, an apostle, warned Timothy concerning such men, saying, they suppose the gain is godliness. From such withdraw thyself, for godliness is contentment of great gain, seeing that we brought nothing into this world, and it is certainly we can carry nothing out. Hearing the witness of the apostle, we brought nothing and we carried nothing. All temporal gain is the nothing, even when it is packaged by preachers that sold as spiritual blessings. These men have turned the houses of prayer into the den of merchandisers. Solomon offered money for the power of the Holy Ghost, and Peter rebuked them sharply. Yet today 1,000 Simons stand behind pulpits, selling what cannot be sold, merchandising the nothing while calling it something. Now concerning the mystery, I have learned through the meditation of the law night or day, and through the grace given unto me by Jehovah. There's a man named Solomon. I want you to pay real close attention to what I'm saying. The son of David, upon whom Jehovah bestowed wisdom greater than all came before it or after. And this man was given also riches and honor, such as no king ever possessed. He built houses, planted vineyards. He gathered silver and gold. He possessed servants beyond number, cattle beyond counting, women beyond measure. Whatsoever his eyes desired, he kept not from them. And at the end of his days, having tasted, he has experienced every form of the nothing that destiny can offer, he sat down and wrote a verdict saying, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. Right up front. This is not the complaint of a man who lacks and therefore despises what cannot have. That this is the verdict of one who possessed and found his possession to be vapor, He built houses. They are now dust in the wind. He planted vineyards. They are now wilderness unattended. He gathered silver and gold and is now scattered among the nations. He possessed 1,000 women. They are now bones in forgotten tombs. The wisest man who ever lived declared all to be the nothing. We who far less wisdom think ourselves wiser than Solomon. Tell me, do anyone here right now think they wiser than Solomon? That's an I or an N. Anyone who think that today they're wiser than Solomon. This is clear. I'm talking about clear as day. Let's push forward. We have to push forward on this. So as we move forward on this, shall we believe that we can extract something from what he declared to be the nothing? Can we do that? We got one person sit there and said, I cannot believe this. She believes she wiser than Solomon. I cannot believe this. Boy. You tell me. This shows you arrogance in this world. They wiser than Solomon. And though upon the mysteries of the law, and I remembered how Jehovah spake unto Israel at Horeb. The people heard the voice of the words, but they saw no similitude, only heard a voice. Only the words, only the something that cannot be fashioned unto temporal form. And Jehovah commanded, he said, take ye heed unto yourselves, for ye saw no manner of similitude. Lest you corrupt yourself and make a graven image in the likeness of any figure. But that one who said I might do that. So that they might be doing that. They might do that because they wiser than Solomon. And make an image, visible things prepared, Jehovah, is corruption. Why? Because it reduces something into nothing. The visible, eternal to the visible temporal. The invisible eternal to the visible temporal. Yet behold how what destiny have done through his department of religion. He have taken the prophets upon them, the spirit rested even Jesus himself, the greatest of the prophets, and taught men to worship the visible flesh rather than the invisible spirit. This is what people have done with this man, with Jesus. They had taken this man and did this. Which in the spirit, the invisible spirit which was upon them, they make paintings of a man and call it God. They build statues and call them Lord. They focus upon the temporal vessels and forget the eternal spirit that worketh through the vessel. But the scriptures testify. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. The Father is greater than I. I can of my own self do nothing. All these quotes he made. This is life eternal, that they might know thee, the only true God. And Jesus Christ, whom thou hast sent, the Spirit was upon him. The Father sent him and put words in his mouth, and he did nothing of himself. The sent is not the sender. The vessel is not the spirit that filled the vessel. He made the vessel into the Jehovah who filled it and made it an image of the invisible, which is the very corruption that Deuteronomy warned against. Therefore, hear me, ye followers of Christ. You hear me close. In the understanding of the dark speech that I show you, now speak unto you. There was established from the foundation of the world a house. And the walls of this house were made of mirrors, and the roof was made of smoke, and men called it a palace. But in heaven it was named the house of the nothing. Every church building on every corner is that. It is nothing. And over this house ruleth a prince, whom the people never see, for he walketh in the shadows behind the mirrors and moveth the smoke with an unseen hand. They called him the master of fortune, the Lord of opportunity, the spirit of progress. But the wise know him as destiny. Who got those guys in there being puppets? The architect of emptiness, the merchant of smoke. In the treasury, there are no coins of gold, but only promises. No substance, but only numbers. Growing upon screens, no reality, but only images that vanishes when grasped. And he hath established 7 departments. 7. In his house, we got one marker, the department of mammon, the department of dominion, the department of pleasure, the department of mirrors, the department of whispers, the department of blaze, and the department of religion. Marker. Each department served one purpose: to exchange the something, which is the word of God, for the nothing. To trade the eternal substance for the temporal vapor. To purchase souls with what cannot purchase life. Now therefore, hearken unto the parable that I will speak unto you, the dark speech concerning the nothing which destiny selleth, in which the preacher declared to be vanity of vanities. And hear and understand that ye may choose life and death, and the something and not the nothing, the internal and not the temporal. For the blessed is the man whose treasure is hidden where destiny have no keys. We're going to get ready for this parable. I want to make sure thus far, besides the one who believe they wiser, thus far, did everybody understand what I just wrote to you? I wanted to make sure I wanted to make sure my words was down. That's why I wrote it. But I want you to hear the parable now. But I want to make sure everybody understand. All besides the wisest person that were wiser than Solomon. Now, I just want to hear from everybody else. Okay, everybody understand thus far. Okay, you understood what I was saying. We good. Okay, so let's move forward. We want to understand this parable now. And then I'm going to give you the understanding of this. So as we move forward, we're going to get this. And it says, a dark speech concerning destiny. Use a temporal things to destroy Jehovah's people. I will open my mouth in a parable, I'll utter dark sayings of old. We got to base that on Psalm 78, verse 2. And I'm going to speak this parable to you to where we're going to understand it. And the spirit of Jehovah was upon me, and I spake this parable, saying, hear now a dark speech of the kingdom, and understand the mystery of the nothing which the destiny sells in the marketplace of the world. For the preacher have declared vanity of vanities, all is vanity. This is the first and last truth of all this is under the sun. And it came to pass in the city beneath the sun, there arose a house whose walls are made of mirrors and whose roof was made of smoke. Men called it a palace, but in heaven it was called the name of the house of nothing. And over this house ruled a prince whom the people never saw. For he walked in the shadows behind the mirrors, moved the smoke with the unseen hand. They called him the master of fortune, Lord of opportunity, the spiritual progress. But the wise knew him as destiny, the architect of emptiness, the merchant of smoke. This is the treasury where no coins of gold, but only promises. No substance, but only numbers. Growing upon screens where men killed each other to possess. For destiny have no power to create. He can only corrupt that which Jehovah has made good. And destiny said unto his principalities, think about it, let me first ensnare them with wealth that must perish, that I may purchase their souls with what cannot purchase life. For that which cannot enter into the kingdom of heaven is the nothing. It is with the nothing that I will build my prison. I want you guys to meditate on this deeply as I'm going through this. So he sent forth the merchants of smoke. You see S, merchants. Catch everything. Who sold futures that never arrived, security that's never secured, treasures that laid up in vaults and fire and floods that floods could devour a single night, in the price that as with the soul of man. Destiny established 7 departments. We already know about them. In his house, the department of mammon, the department of dominion, the department of pleasure, the department of mirrors, the department of whispers, the department of blades, and the department of religion. Each department served one purpose, to exchange the something for the nothing. And he appointed over each department the prince, one of darkness, to give them authority to trade in the souls of men. And every transaction was recorded in the ledger of smoke, written in ink that vanishes, upon pages that crumble, for even the records of the nothing are nothing. Catch it. Please catch it. The wares of mammon. Remember, the merchant lays out his wares upon the cloth, the blackest velvet. The first is a pile of gold, glitter, yet it is but hardened sunlight. And lying in the warm is a lie. What is this? Thou canst purchase thy desire, but the gold cannot purchase a single breath from Jehovah, nor a moment of peace for the soul that hoards it. And the people labor from dawn until night, not for bread, but for digits. Keep all in mind what I'm telling you. Not for wisdom, but for balances. Not for righteousness, but for reputation. They built barns, called them portfolios. Towers, called them brands. Altars, called them retirement accounts. And they bowed down before the glowing numbers, before the carved images. Yet, when one of them died, all the digits remains behind. The house of the nothing wrote one more volume in Destiny's library of wasted lives. For a man entered into this world with nothing, and with nothing shall he return. And digits he accumulated cannot follow him through the grave. Can't happen. By their glittering gold, Achan brought ruin upon Israel. For he coveted the accursed thing, a godly Babylonianish garment, and 200 shekels of silver, and a wage of gold in the valley of Achor became a tomb, and his children with him, for the nothing consumed not only the man, but his seed. And Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, who loved the silver, ran after Naaman, saying, my master hath sent me, but he lied and took 2 talents of silver and 2 changes of garment, and the leprosy of Naaman cleaved unto him and to his seed forever. For the nothing that is grasped became the curse upon the flesh. Judas the Iscariot, who walked with the servant of Jehovah, Jesus, who have seen the dead rise and the blind heal, and he heard the words that no man ever spake. This same Judas went into the chief priest and said, what will ye give me, and I will deliver him to you? I want you to think about that, because many people do that right here. And they coveted with me for 30 pieces of silver. And when Judas saw that the Lord was condemned, he repented and brought again the 30 pieces to the chief priest, saying, I have sinned that I have betrayed the innocent blood, but it's too late. And they said, what is this? See thou to this? And he cast down the 30 pieces of silver in the temple and departed and went and hanged himself. Remember the terror of the nothing. Judas could not spend what he had earned. He could not enjoy. He had sold his soul to possessors. Could not buy back what he traded away for. You know, many people have done this already. The silver remained, but the soul was lost. The nothing that he grasped before him only vexation and spirit unto the death. In Balaam, the prophet who loved the wages of unrighteousness, was hired by Balak to curse Israel. Though Jehovah prevented this his mouth from cursing, and the heart remained sold unto mammon. And he taught Balak to cast stumbling blocks before Israel. And he perished by the sword among the enemies of Jehovah. For the nothing of silver corrupted even the prophet's gift. The second wears is the crown forest of iron. The ambition is heavy, heavy with the weight of other men's neck. He whispered, with this thou shalt have power and dominion, but the power is fleeing, the dream of dominion, but the right to be the last to fall into the dust. And there arose in the city rulers of dust, whose thrones were set upon votes and signatures, whose scepters were pens, and whose crown were poles. They declared laws, overturned decrees, exalted some, destroyed others. Imagine that their word could not fall to the ground. They made wars in distant lands. They sold drank blood. They drank blood and cried unto heaven. But they say history will remember our greatness. Yet the day they came when worms knew not whether they devoured kings or beggars, general or refugee. And the earth made no distinction between the flesh and the mighty and the flesh of the nameless. By the weight of the crown, Absalom was caught in the branches of the oak, in whose hair was so glory, was his glory. He who has stolen the heart of Israel, he who sat at the gate and said, who that I were made judge, teacher in the land. In his ambition, he was pierced by 3 darts through his heart while he hung between heaven and earth, belonging to neither. Nebuchadnezzar, who boasts of his great Babylon, saying, is not this great Babylon that I have built for a house of the kingdom by night in my power, and for my honor, my majesty? While the words was yet in his mouth, a voice fell from heaven, and he was driven from men to eat grass as an ox, until he knew that the Most High ruleth the kingdoms of men. Herod sat upon his throne, arrayed in royal apparel, made an oration, and all people shouted, it is the voice of God, and not of a man. And immediately the angel of the Lord smote him, because he gave not Jehovah the glory. And he was eaten of worms and gave up to ghosts. For the nothing of glory that gas became worms in his bowels. Pharaoh hardened his heart against Jehovah, saying, who is this Lord that I should obey his voice? And he pursued Israel into the sea, and the waters returned upon him in his chariots, in his horsemen. There remained not so much as one of them, for the nothing It's the crown that could not command the waters that Jehovah ruled. Destiny wrote over all their memories. He ruled the nothing with great zeal until the nothing ruled over him. Where are their thrones now? Where are their armies? Their power is vapor that vanish. Their dominions is dust that scatter. Their glory is smoke that dissipated. Haman, who sought to destroy all the Jews, all the followers of Christ, because Mordecai bowed not before him, was hanged upon the very gallows he prepared for Mordecai, 50 cubits high, and all might see his power, but all instead his destruction. For the nothing of his pride became the instrument of his death. The third was the cup the cup is a cup of wine, the red as a harlot. This harlot lips filled with the vintage lust of dregs of adultery. Says, drink and forget thy sorrows, but the drink kindleth fire and consumeth the spirit, and forgetteth its short sleep before a long damnation. There was a feast without ceasing, where the tables emptied and cups were never dried, and what could not be brought with money was brought with flesh. Men and women traded for the convenient for contract, loyalty for lust, sacred bonds for secret messages that vanishes, but not from heaven. They were woken to strangers in their beds, and strangers unto their own mirrors, and their souls no longer knew the faces would carry them. Sickness walked among them, clothed in desire. Death waited at the bottom of the bottle's label, celebration, and the children wept behind the doors while their parents pursued sensation, call self-care. But the cup of the harlot, Samson, the Nazarite of Jehovah, laid his head in the lap of Delilah, the nothing. Wrapped in beauty, the nothing speaketh with flattering lips, the nothing lying in his bosom until she extracted the secret of his strength. She vexed him daily with the words and pressed him, so that his soul was vexed unto death, and Samson so could not be bound by ropes, was bound by the nothing of lust. He could not be blinded by armies, was blinded by his own eyes for lust after vapor. And he grind in the prison houses, blind and broken, knew not that Jehovah had departed from him. For this is the nature of the nothing. It blindeth the man even before his eyes are put out. And David, the man after Jehovah's own heart, a sweet psalmist of Israel, the slayer of Goliath, and arose in his bed at eventide and walked upon the roof. In the roof he saw a woman washing herself. And the woman was very beautiful to look upon, and he sent messengers and took her. In the cover, the nothing of adultery, he sent for Uriah the Hittite, the woman's husband, made him drunk, sent him to the forefront of the hottest battle, and he was slain. Thus David added murder to adultery. For a moment of pleasure brought a sword upon his house forever. And the child died. Ammon violated Tamar. Absalom slew Ammon and rebelled against his father. David cried out the Psalms of 51, have mercy upon me, O God, according to thy love and kindness, according to the multitude of thy tender mercies. Blot out my transgression. Wash me thoroughly from my iniquity. Cleanse me from my sins, for the nothing have defiled the something, have made pure, and through Jehovah, forgive the consequences remain. Eli and Hophni, Phinehas, laid with the woman in the assembly at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation and made themselves vile. And their fathers restrained them not. And both of them died in one day. And the ark of Jehovah was taken, and Eli fell backwards and brake his neck, for the nothing of their lust brought judgment upon the whole house. Ammon, the son of David, loved Tamar, his sister. He was so vexed, he fell sick for his sister, for she was a virgin. And by subtlety, he defiled her. And he hated her exceedingly, so that he hated wherewith he hated her was greater than the love wherewith he had loved her. For the nothing of lust, once satisfied, turned to hatred. Tell me this ain't true. And the pleasure become ashes in the mouth. And Shittim, the Hittite, saw Delilah, the daughter of Leah, and took her and lay with her and defiled her. And though his soul cleaved unto her and spoke kindly unto her and offered any dowry, whatever great, yet the sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, slew him and all the males of his city and spoiled the city, for the nothing of his lust brought destruction upon a whole people. And destiny smiled and said, they have chosen the nothing that tasted sweet and soweth bitterness. They have drunk from my cup and found at the bottom not pleasure but poison, not satisfaction but sorrow, not life but death. The fourth wear is a mirror, polished to perfect sheen, which showeth a man his own face, but the fairer than it is, the wiser than he knoweth, he whispereth, this is thyself. Thou art worthy of worship. So a man boweth down to his own shadow, so is idolatry of self. And when arose a woman in the city whose face drew multitudes as the moon draws the tides, men brought her gifts, built her platform, magnified her images 10,000-fold upon glowing walls, and she believed the whispers that said, thou art the source of thy own loveliness. Thou art worthy of worship. Yet the mirror began to prophesy lines where there have been smoothness, fading where there have been brightness, heaviness where there have been lightness, and the gift diminished, and the praises cold. The platform sought the younger face. She clutched at procedures and potions as drowning soul clutches at mist. And she cried, my glory is taken from me. And the voice answered, nay, thy glory never thine. For thou borrow what thou refusest to return. And destiny wrote in the ledger, another soul that worshiped the mirror found only the nothing staring back. For favor is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears Jehovah shall be praised. Likewise, there arose a man whose strength filled stadiums. His skill made nations chant his name. He trusted in the arm of flesh, roared at the crowds and contracts that wrote numbers too high to count. But one day in a joint failed. The body that had been at the altar of praise became a monument of pain. Crowds shifted to another idol, and contracts dissolved like dew. And the man sat alone with muscles that could no longer perform the rituals of worship. Then destiny whispered, shh, remember, all that thy word was written in sand. In the man that wept, he saw that his life has been sacrificed upon an altar of nothing. But the mirror of idolatry, Solomon, the wise, well, it's got somebody else saying they just as wise as him, but that's beside the point. Solomon, the wisest of men, built a high place for the gods of strange wives. For Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, for the Malchai, the abomination of the Amorites, and Chemosh, the abomination of Moab. For Moloch, the abomination of the children of Ammon, and the hearts were turned away from Jehovah. Would have appeared to him twice in the people of the wilderness, who have seen the wonders in Egypt, who have walked through the sea on dry ground, who have eaten manna of heaven, drank water from the rock. These same people did fashion a golden calf while Moses was upon the mount, and they danced before, saying, These here be the gods, O Israel, that brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And Jehovah said unto Moses, I have seen this people. I have seen these. And remember, it is a stiff-necked people. Therefore, let me alone that my wrath may wax hot against them, that I may consume them. And the 3,000 fell by the sword that day, and the ground that swallowed more than for the nothing. The idol brought death unto who worshipped it. And Jeroboam made 2 calves of gold and said unto the people, it's too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. It's too much to you guys. It's too much for many of you guys to come to a feast. It's too much for a whole lot of y'all to come to a feast. And we'll be saying scripture even on this. Remember thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And this became their sin. So what they do, they make their own gods in their own house. That's what they do. So they still in Egypt. Every dat blame one of you who do not come to the feast. Every one of you guys who don't come to feast, all of y'all are still in Egypt. Every dat blame one of you. And this became sin to every king, to the evil king after him, and walked in the way of Jeroboam, because all you guys are walking in the ways of Jeroboam and the son of Nebat, and who made Israel to sin, and that's what y'all are doing. For the nothing that he established became a snare to generation. That's why that's why a lot of you guys are a snare to people. That's why I want to get rid of y'all. That's beside the point. But let me finish this parable because it's almost done. And the 5th were the whispers of secret knowledge, the things to come, and spellbound, the curse to loose, and the sorcery of witchcraft, the nothing of spiritual power apart from Jehovah. Destiny whispered, wait upon the Lord when thou canst have power now. Why pray when thou canst conjure? A man seek horoscopes and fortune tellers, psychics and mediums, crystals and inclinations, the nothing, the counterfeit spiritually, while the something of Jehovah. The spirit is freely offered to all who ask. They choose nothing with the price over something. Exactly the point. Anybody giving to any church, any man, you giving to the nothing. And it's given freely. In the whisper of witchcraft, Saul, the first king of Israel, did seek familiar spirits at Endor. He who had expelled the witches from the land now disguised himself to seek one. For Jehovah answered him neither by dreams nor by Urim, nor by prophets, but by which brought up Samuel, who said, tomorrow shall thou and thy sons be with me, meaning y'all gonna die. And they fell dead upon the battlefield. And the 6th war were the sharp swords forged in the fire's wrath and quenched the waters of envy. With it, a man may slay his brother for a piece of the earth, and soon be his grave. Destiny whispers. He threatened thy poison, thy position. She knoweth thy secrets. Remove them. The something thou seeketh shall be thine. But the sword of wrath and envy, Cain rose up against his brother and brother Abel in the field and slew him. And Jehovah said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother, blood crieth unto me from the grave, from the ground. And Cain rose cursed from the earth and fugitive and vagabond. For the nothing of his envy made him the first murderer, and he went out from the presence of Jehovah. And the brother of Joseph, for envy, did sell him into slavery, 20 pieces of silver, for the nothing, for their father's favor that they could not possess. They saw him far off before he came near and said, and unto them, and they conspired against him to slay him, saying, behold, remember, this dreamer cometh. Let us slay him. But Jehovah meant it unto good to save much people alive. And Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men and was exceedingly wroth, and sent forth to slew all children that was in Bethlehem from 2 years and under, yet the nothing. His power failed against the something, for Jehovah purposed the child to escape to Egypt. And the blood of innocent brought Herod only eternal condemnation. The destiny built in the city a great temple of religions, those whose stones were heavy, whose windows were stained, and whose stages shone brighter than their altars. The actors, pastors, performed weekly dramas, reading from the 66 scrolls, exactly the point, while 14 lay buried outside the gates by degree of shadow scribes, these ignorant men. The people clapped, wept, fell, shout, ran, and believed themselves in the presence of Jehovah. Though Jehovah said, he dwelleth not in temple made with hands. Surely do. Tides flowed like rivers into the pockets of hardlings, who called themselves shepherds. Exactly the point. Though there is but one shepherd, in Jehovah said he give you pastors, not pastors, not to be purchased as staff, but sold blessings, rented anointings, market experience, and packaged emotions as encounters until the people could no longer distinguish between the moving in their nerves and the moving of the spirit. With heresies and destiny, doeth build his churches. Surely did, because you see them on every street corner. With 66 books for a man was on the 6th day. The number of the beast is the number of the man. And the number is 666. That's why they teach from the 666. And that man being the other 6. So now it's 666 because he's the man, which is 6. And then you got the 66 books that fills him, that completes the man who teaches from that false book. That's the 666. For the amputation, for the amputated testimony, joint with the man of flesh, produced the mark of the beast, not on the hand, but in the understanding that follow. The 666 denomination of the beast, each claiming the something while serving the nothing. The human tradition, destiny said, this is my finest work. Surely is, because you see it every day. They flee idolatry of stone only to embrace idolatry of stage. And the scribes and Pharisees of the age loved the uppermost rooms at feasts, and the chief seats in the synagogues, greeting in the market, and to be called of men, Rabbi, Rabbi. They made broad their proselytes and enlarged their borders and their garments, but within are extortion and excess in their worship, the nothing, for the reputation of neglecting the something of righteousness. And there was in the city a builder who sought immortality through legacy. He inscribed his name upon hospitals, universities, foundations, and towers, and glass, and piers. You go in some churches, you see pictures all across these places. You see them there, always there. They all across there in the clouds, but not with heavy, but not in heaven. He trusted in the concrete would remember him. The archive and would preserve him. The statues would testify them with his tongue and lay silent. Yet rust claimed his steel, mold his libraries, vandals claimed his monuments, new merchants claimed his institutions, and the future generations spake name only as street designation easily renamed, stand invisible beside ruins. Destiny murmured. He wrote his eternity in dust and expected it to withstand the rain. Tell me that ain't true. They name streets after preachers. The stupidest thing in the world. They'll name it, this is such and such street. Dumbest thing in the world. Joke ain't nobody. A voice cried from the dust. The voice of Adam whispered in the wind, saying, I walk with Jehovah in the cool of the day. I have dominion over all the earth. I named every creature. I know no death. I knew no death, no sorrow, no separation, but for a piece of fruit, a visible thing, a desire to be as a God. I traded paradise for thistles and thorns. I traded a voice of Jehovah for the hiss of serpents. I traded life for the nothing. And the voice of Eve, which is the flesh, joined him, saying, I saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and the tree was desired to make one wise. The nothing of the lust of the flesh, the nothing of the eyes, the nothing of pride of life, and took thereof. And I did eat and gave also to my husband, and we lost everything for the nothing that we grasped. The voice of Solomon sighed from the pages in the book, saying, I have wisdom and riches and honor, and such as no king had before or after me. I built houses and planted vineyards. I gathered silver and gold. I made men singers and women singers. And whatsoever my eyes desired, I kept not from them. I looked in all the works that my hands had wrought, and I remember all was vanity, vexation of spirit. All was the nothing. Solomon continued, I said in my heart, go to now. I prove thee with mirth. Therefore, enjoy pleasure and remember, this is also vanity. I said of laughter, it is mad. In the mirth, what doeth it? I sought to give myself unto wine, yet acquainted my heart with wisdom and laid hold to folly, till I might see what was good for the sons of men. And I found it all to nothing. And the voice of Samson groaned, saying, I was strong, but my strength was in my consecration, not in my sinews. When I broke the covenant for the flesh of the woman, I became as one other man, and my strength was but memory. And all I had from Delilah was to nothing. And for it, I gave my eyes of freedom, my glory, and nearly my soul. And the voice of God wept. The voice of David wept, saying, I was king and a prophet, and a man of war, and I slew Goliath, but a Philistine to fight. And I wrote Psalms of the Spirit of Jehovah, but in a moment, the idleness, my eyes saw that I should not, and my heart coveted. Not mine. For the moment of pleasure, I brought a sword upon the house forever. I purchased the nothing with the coin of my peace. And the voice of Lot's wife whispered though she had no tongue, she had become a pillar of salt. I was delivered from Sodom. I was escaping judgment. But I looked back, one glance at the nothing, and I was leaving. And I became a monument for those who cannot release their grasp in what they are commanded to forsake. This is why a lot of it's going to always be gone. And many other voices cried out of great clouds, and witnessed, each one testifying, they had traded the eternal for the temporal, the substance for smoke, everything for the nothing, or deception for the nothing, the temporal things, cannot enter heaven. But which keep man from ever seeking the door. Then the voice of heaven, as a sound of many waters, saying, what do you spend your life do, which is not bread? For your labor is for not which satisfieth not. For the destiny, the merchant of smoke have sold you lies. His gold is dust, his crown is rust, his wine is poison, his mirror is falsehood, his whispers is death, his swords is damnation. For I am the substance, I am reality, I am the treasure that fadeth not. I am the crown of life, I am the living water, I am the express image of the Father, I am the word that was in the beginning, I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. Come out from among them. Be ye separated, saith Jehovah. Touch not the unclean thing, and you receive. Be not conformed to this world. Be ye transformed by renewing of your mind. Love not the world, neither the things of the world that are in the world. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride in a life, is not of the Father, but of the world. And the world passes away, the lust thereof, and the smoke of the house rose up in one great sigh, and the mirrors cracked, and the people saw that every room they had ever entered in pursuit of life had been lined with emptiness. And a voice from above the smoke declared, all that is born of my word, all that is not born of my word is to nothing, and must return into the nothing from which it came. Forsake the nothing, and ye shall find the everything. And it was proclaimed in heaven and in earth, destiny ruleth only over the nothing, and have no keys where the something is treasured. What is a man profit if he should gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for a soul? Vanity of vanity, says the preacher. All is vanity. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Jehovah, keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Blessed is the man whose treasure is hidden, where destiny has no keys. And the nothing shall be burned, but the something shall remain forever. Hopefully that each and every one of you guys got some understanding there as we now going to move forward, because I'm going to give you the understanding of this. We have to have the understanding of this as we go through here. So as we move forward, we're going to get some understanding now. So I want you to take that in and understand what we're doing here. Why we have to understand many things, what we do, and understand many things, what has to be done. But I'm going to give you the interpretation on what I just spoke to you. So this is telling you about the parable and the core revelation on what I was sharing with you. This parable reveals the foundation, the strategy of destiny, Satan, his warfare against the children of Jehovah, because he uses temporal things, which are collectively called the nothing, to draw men away from eternal things, which are the something. So every deception destiny have ever employed from the garden and from the Garden of Eden in this present hour follows this pattern on what I just gave you. So we have to look at this spiritual logic, because Jehovah had created man for eternal fellowship. So with himself. So we got to understand that the human soul was fashioned with the capacity for the something, for the spiritual substance of eternity, reality, this divine communion, the capacity not for something else, but it cannot be filled with temporal things any more than a bucket designed in water to be filled with smoke. You follow me? So when man pursues the nothing, his soul receives vapor. It appears, but he receives the substance, but in truth, it remains empty. Same as we were saying with Solomon, the preacher who possessed everything, the temporal world. So when he declared this verdict, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. This is nothing, hopelessness, the spiritual sight. So when a man seeth only with carnal eyes and what he perceives, the nothing, we got to pay real close attention to that. So what I want you to understand is what we're going to be getting into is vanity. That's what we have to get into. So we're going to start here. We're going to start pulling in some things and getting better understanding on what I was talking about and why it's set up that way. Because the Hebrew word vanity, I want you to mark it. Vanity, it relates to Abel. Keep that in mind. It relates to Abel. Abel, whose name means breath or vapor. Abel was the first to die. His life was cut short. His breath ceased. His vapors vanished. But naming all his temporal things vanity. Solomon is declaring that they should have the same nature as Abel. You follow me? So the nature of Abel, they are the breath that departed, the vapor that dissolved, the nothing that returns to the nothing that returns to nothing. So this is the principle here on what we're looking at. In Genesis chapter 3 and verse 15, it tells us this. It says, "And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. And it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel." This is the principle that I'm going to be expounding on. Keep that in mind. So this parable established this enmity that you see here. It operates through two opposing methods. I want you to make sure you understand this. Write it down. With these two opposing methods, we have to remember, which spiritually the word of Jehovah, it works through invisible means. Invisible means, meaning this. It's going to operate through voice, spirit, word, and faith. Write those down. You're going to operate always in voice, spirit, word, and faith. So the seed of the serpent, we got to keep this in mind. The seed of the serpent operates in another way. The seed of the serpent spiritually is the nothing. It works through visible means. It works through visible means. Meaning it works through flesh, sight, temporal form, carnal perception. You follow me? It's going to always work through flesh, sight, temporal form, carnal perception. This establishes this testimony. I want to show you this to where we'll be all on one page. We're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 12 to help you understand where we're coming from with this. And let's get a real good understanding. It said, "And the Lord spake unto you out of the midst of the fire. Ye heard the voice of the words, but saw no similitude." Keep that in mind. Oh, my wife's sitting there saying, "Slow down." Okay, let me slow down some. Okay, so we see here where the Lord is speaking. But as he's saying, he spake out of the midst of the fire. But you hear the voice of the words, but you saw no similitude. Only heard the voice. You only heard the voice. That's the key there. Let's drop down to 15 because he's going to say, it says, "Take ye heed, therefore, good heed unto yourselves, for ye saw no manner of similitude on the day that the Lord spake unto you in heard out of the midst of the fire." And I want to put something with this. We're going to sit there. We're going to put something with this. In John 4:24, it tells us something that we can keep with it. It says, God is a spirit. That's key. They that worship him in spirit and in truth. God is spirit, so you can't see him. Destiny, when we're looking at this, we're looking at God is a spirit. They that worship him must worship him in spirit and truth, not in flesh, because that's in nothing. So destiny having losing access to the something has fell. So the nothing dresses itself as attractive garments, which cannot create eternal substances. We got to keep that in mind. So he used these counterfeit with temporal vapors. He cannot produce the words of Jehovah. He can only produce words that sound like the substance. That's what happens. This is why every enticement destiny offers is always visible. It's always temporal. It's carnal. Money can be seen and counted, but power can be felt and exercised. See, this power can be felt. Flesh can be touched and enjoyed. Fame can be heard and measured. You see what I'm saying? Money can be counted. Power, his power can be felt. Flesh can be touched and enjoyed. Fame can always be heard and measured. But the word of Jehovah is invisible. So the carnal eyes, the eternal is nature. The spiritual in its operation, it contrasts is absolute. Nothing versus something. Temporal versus eternal. Visible versus invisible. This is what happened. So when the parable on what I read to you, it draws these figures to demonstrate that no one, absolutely no one, is immune to the nothing. No one is immune to the nothing. Deception when walking according to the flesh. You got to remember Achan. What you got to remember is Achan. We're going to see this. See this one second. We're going to see this in Joshua 7:19, and you'll see it here because Achan actually means vexation and then trouble, which you see. But he coveted the nothing. He covered Babylonian garments in that silver and gold. Tells you that. It says, Joshua said unto Achan, my son, give me, I pray, the Lord, the God of Israel, make confession unto him. Tell me what thou hast done. Hide not from me. And Achan answered Joshua and said, indeed, I have sinned against the Lord of the God of Israel. And thus have I done. And I saw among the spoils goodly Babylonian garment. Excuse me. And 200 shekels of silver. And I weighed your gold of 50 shekels and weighed and coveted them. And I took them. And remember, they are hid in the earth in the midst of my tent. It's teaching you. This is a similitude that the nothing brings trouble upon the ones who pursue it. The entire congregation, men who seeks covetousness, Israel defeat. Samson, same thing. Samson was the strongest man to ever live. He was able to where no army can bound him in chains. No one can bound him in chains at all. But he was bound by the nothing of lust. His similitude teaches us that the physical strength cannot protect the spiritual weakness. The man who can slay 1,000 with a jawbone of an ass could not resist one woman with flattering lips. The nothing attack as though the strength we possess, but through the weakness we hide. Same you look at David. We spoke about in the parable. David, who was after God's own heart, even wrote the Psalms, fell to the nothing for the lustful grace. His similitude teaches us the spiritual anointing cannot protect against the monetary this carelessness. David's eyes were not guarded by, the evening. From one single glance that flowed adultery, murder, and death. And then he had the death of the child, the rape of Tamar, the rebellion of Absalom. The nothing multiplied itself. One sin begat another. One sin began to always beget many. Solomon, same thing. The wisest man who ever lived, except for this one person who got in here, said they was wiser. His heart turned by the nothing for the foreign wives of idolatry. The similitude that teaches intellectual wisdom cannot protect you from emotional attachment. The man who wrote Vanity of Vanities still fell victim to vanity. The nothing works slowly, gradually, imperceptibility we looking at. So until the wisest man of the world building an altar even unto false gods, we look at Balaam, the prophet who loved the nothing for wages, could not curse what Jehovah has blessed, but taught Israel, he taught Israel enemies how to entice Israel with nothing. His similitude teaches the prophetic gift to no guarantee this righteous character. Many may speak truth from Jehovah while loving lies in his heart. Did you know that? Did nothing corrupt the gifts and weapons against Jehovah's people? We're looking at even Lot, another one. Lot, who means covering. He chose this well-watered plains where his eyes can see over the something that required faith to receive. His similitude teaches choosing by sight leads to a Sodom. This is what he did. We go through this and we see this time and time again. So we try to understand what is actually happening. What is actually happening? I'm gonna show it to you right over here. I'm gonna put it in the corner, because we got to see how this works. And you'll find this in Galatians chapter 5, verse 19. Boom, it's right there. We have to identify how destiny uses works of the flesh as a vehicle for the nothing. We got to see how he uses this as a vehicle for the nothing. So we're going to open this understanding up to where we can understand how vanity actually works. Fair enough. It should be fair enough. Because as we've seen the dark speeches, which we see this Hebrews calls vapor, breath, smoke, but this teaches to unveil the spiritual function that we must move. At the end, and through the deeper precepts, the deeper similitudes, the testimony of Scripture, we're going to examine how money, people, even the works of the flesh, is listed right here. It revealed to be vapor, destiny that sells in the marketplace, this. So what I'm going to show you, this is not some Greek philosophy. It's not that. But we're going to compare spiritual things with spiritual. The similitude of smoke to unlock the mystery, which cannot enter into the kingdom of heaven. And therefore, there can no eternal substance switch over. So we're going to see this. So I want to run off of 3 scriptures we're going to sit there and see. We're going to run one here. I want you to keep these in mind, so we're going to mark them. So we're going to look at this Ecclesiastes 1 and 2. We want Ecclesiastes 2:17. And I also want Ecclesiastes 12 and 8. We're going to run off of these. Going to base everything coming from there. So it says, vanity of vanities, says the preacher. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. It's right there. 2:17, it says, therefore I hate life, because the work that is wrought under the sun, just under the sun, is here, is grievous unto me, for all is vanity and vexation of spirit. Vanity of vanity, it says the preacher, all is vanity. Constantly seeing this repeated. So I want you to mark this to understand what's happening. The Hebrew word vapor, as we were saying, breath or smoke. So the same word used even for Abel, the son of Adam, whose life was cut short like a breath in Genesis 4:2. I'm going to show you this. So when you're looking at Genesis 4:2, we'll see it there she bare again Abel. That's the one we're talking about, right there. And it signified have no substance, no weight, no permanence. This is not those who seek to exist, but smoke exists, vapors exist, but they cannot be grasped. Did you understand what I'm saying? The smoke exists and vapor exists, but they cannot be grasped. You cannot hold it. They cannot be held. They cannot be kept. Everybody follow me. Everybody follow me right now. So we understanding this. Understanding vanity through comparisons. To understand vanity spiritually, we must use similitudes that Jehovah himself provides. Smoke is a perfect metaphor for the temporal, for the nothing. Smoke, it has appearance as a substance. We got to understand what that is. So when we see smoke rising from a fire, it appears solid. It has form. It has movement in its presence. But from a distance, you can even appear as a pillar of a cloud. It captures the eye and draws the attention. So to the things of this world, we see, we write them down. You got money, power, pleasure, fame. We spoke about those. They appear substantial. Money, power, pleasure, and fame. They're going to always appear substantial. They move, they glitter, they promise fulfillment. Smoke has no weight. Though it appears as something, smoke cannot be weighed. Think about that. Smoke cannot be weighed. It cannot be measured on a scale of eternity. It's lighter than air because it floats in air. So too are the works of flesh, the love of money, the love of the idolatry of men. They have no eternal weight. We have to understand what I'm talking about, because I'm speaking to where people who just have carnal understanding, they'll think this is making no sense what I'm saying, or it's just kind of boring. You the one I don't want. You the one need to find another channel, because we're talking about media matters of Scripture, spiritual things with spiritual. See, when we're dealing with this, it's more exclusive they become. Even if you believe he has captured them. Death opens his hands and they can vanish. I want you to think about something. As smoke in the residue of consumption. Smoke is what remains after something of substance has been consumed by fire. I want you to think about that. It's weird, ain't it? Smoke is what remains after something of substance has been consumed by fire. So it is a byproduct, not the product. So too are the things of this world. They are the residue of life consumed by the fire of lust, greed, and pride. So they are what is left when true substance, fellowship with Jehovah, has been burned away. We're going to bring this a little bit closer to understand what's going on, because it's what dissipates and what happens. So we're going to sit there and we're going to have this help us. We're going to look at James chapter 4 and 14 to bring it a little bit closer for us. And he says, whereas ye know that what shall be on tomorrow, for what is your life? It is even a vapor, exactly, that appeareth for a little time and then vanish away. Exactly the point. So for a short time, smoke, then it's going to vanish in the air, as if it never existed, as if it never happened. Me and my wife, we used to go down here to Maui, Hawaii, and they used to have a sugarcane factory there, and it used to blow out this beautiful, pure white smoke, and it used to, just beautiful coming out of there. It stinks like I don't know what, but it's just beautiful, pure white smoke. But that smoke won't get no higher than 10 feet from the stack from which it was being released from. And it dissipates. It just disappears. Beautiful white, it's gone now because they stopped doing that over there. But every year we used to go over there, there was a marker that I used to use, and beautiful sight to see. Because I'm talking about, it's so thick, it was like you can take a knife and cut it. But this is the spiritual function still of vanity. It is the spiritual diagnosis for all which is temporal. And is confined in the realm that is under the sun. All that cannot enter into the kingdom of God. None of it. It ties you back to Galatians chapter 5:19, as we're going to be digging into this a little bit more. Because the works of the flesh is vanity. And that's what I'm going to be proving to you today. This is vanity. And the reason why it's telling you, saying, even here, Galatians 5:9, it says, now the works of the flesh are manifest. These are made known. This is going to help us to understand what vanity is. And then I'm going to be breaking them down to you. See, and it's telling you, it's telling you these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, ill emotions, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envying, murder, and drunkenness, rivalings, and such like. And such like. So the key to understanding the works of the flesh, vanity, is found here. But it tells you one key thing that's there. It's real key here in such light. And it says this. And it says, in that which do such things, these vanity things, shall not inherit the kingdom of God. That's a key. That's a key for us to really understand. Because they're vanity. Each flesh manifestation of the carnal mind. And tell you what's more over here. We look at something now in Romans chapter 8 and picking up at verse 7. It gives a little bit. It says, because the carnal mind, which is here, is enmity against God. They are not subject to the law of God, neither indeed can be. Very interesting. The carnal mind is drawn to visible things. It's over here. All these things you can see, they're visible. Tangible and immediate. It's like the operating system of flesh. Destiny, that old serpent, it is the master programmer. It has spent thousands of years perfecting his 666 method of deception. The coverage upon the central strategy to make men worship the nothing instead of the something. So we want to understand how this vapor works, how it gets there. And we want to look at the first two. We got adultery and fornication. It's interesting. The reason it's so interesting because adultery and fornication or corruption are the divine design of a union between a man or a male and a female within the covenant of a marriage. Everybody with me? It's not between a man and a man and a woman and a woman. That's not a marriage. But the marriage is a design between a male and a female in the covenant marriage. They appear as love, as passion, as profound connection, and as flesh carried out. So this is real. This is the substance. This is life. Yet, this is smoke. You follow me? This is smoke. And why I'm saying that? Because the pleasure is monetary. And I want to break that down to you. This is the connection is shallow. The covenant is broken or never established is what happened. What remains after the fire of lust, what has been burned. I'm going to explain this to you because you got shame, disease, broken families, souls separated from Jehovah. Even the spiritual dictionary defines adultery as a breach of marriage, unfaithfulness, spiritual corruption, idolatry, transgression of sin. So when we do such things, it's a breach. It's a breach. I don't care how we look at it. Fornication is a form of idolatry. It's covenant betrayal. It is not merely a physical act, but it's a spiritual betrayal, choosing of the temporal pleasures of flesh over eternal covenant with the Creator. let me bring this a little bit closer for us. We're gonna bring it a little bit closer. We're gonna go to we gotta look at Judges. Judges 16:25. It says, it came to pass when their hearts were merry, and they said, call Samson, for he make us so that he make us sport. They wanted to make sport, and they called for Samson out of the prison and made him sport. And they set him between the pillars. They wanted to make sport of this guy. But you got to remember, Samson was a Nazarite. He possessed strength beyond all men. Yet, for the smoke of the woman Delilah, he laid his head in her lap and revealed the secret of his consecration. And then when he awoke, his strength was departed. They did make sport of him in the prison. You see it right here. He traded the anointing of Jehovah for the nothing. That's the point I was making. You see, David was a man after God's own heart. He was a man after God's own heart. But some of this stuff I want to show to you to where we can understand. Everybody is prone to this, and why we got to be vigilant. And understanding this is for our learning. In 2 Samuel chapter 12, looking at verse 10, it says, now therefore the sword shall never depart from thy house. And he's telling David, because thou hast despised me, and thou hast taken a wife of Uriah the Hittite to be thy wife. And you have to look at what David did. David saw Bathsheba from the rooftop, but he took her and he committed adultery and murder for her husband, and then covered the sin. But the prophet Nathan, he told him this. For the moment of pleasure, smoke, David brought a sword upon his house forever. On that moment alone. Many of us are going to fall to this same thing. Many of us have already fallen to this. We can't get around this. We got uncleanness, lasciviousness. See, this is another thing. This is smoke. Both of them smoke. It's false freedom. False freedom. See, when you casting off restraints in the pursuit of every fleshly desire without regards of the law of Jehovah, they appear as freedom. They're going to always appear as freedom. Self-expression, as a right to do as one pleases. Yet, this is the greatest deception, that one believes that bondage is one's own lust of freedom. But true freedom is found in submission to the laws of Jehovah. I'm going to show it to you the way we can see it there and see it. We'll find this in John chapter 8, looking at verse 32. It speaks about it in deeply. And you sit there and says, ye shall know the truth. Yeah, and the truth shall make us free. Exactly the point. Because the pursuit of uncleanliness is not freedom. Everybody follow me? The pursuit of uncleanliness is not freedom. It's slavery to the insustainable appetite of flesh. Uncleanness, lasciviousness. It is slavery because you have this satisfiable appetite of flesh. Uncleanness, lasciviousness. It is a prison with bars that are invisible. A prisoner decorated with cells, believing it to be a palace. But this is smoke. It moves as freedom, but it's bondage. Even when you're thinking about it, when you're thinking about this idolatry, you see that down there in verse 20, idolatry. Idolatry is smoke of visible gods. That's why we can't get around it. Meaning this, it's created thing over the Creator. It is the fundamental sin is rooted in other sins. Even when we're looking at the spiritual dictionary, idolatry as worshiping of idols, unfaithful, it's idolatry, sinful, covenant breakers. It is a choice to bow before a visible rather than the invisible. I want you to think about that. To trust in what can be seen and touched rather than the voice of Jehovah. Did you ever think about that? Money is an idol. Have anybody ever thought about that? Money is an idol. Actually, I want to pull something up. I want to pull two places up as we're doing this, because I'm gonna get to them, but I want to make sure it don't slip from me. And the other one I want First Kings, so it won't slip from me. 11:4, because it just came to me, but I don't want these to get away from me. And the reason I say this is a person can also is an idol. They are worship. So we want to look at this. So when we're looking at this, a career, a nation, doctrine can all be idols. They can all become idols. So an idol itself is nothing. We know that an idol is nothing in the world. And it tells us right there that there is no other but one God. And I'm going to show you right here. It says, and concerning, therefore, the eating of those, so the learning of those things that are offered in established covenants and sacrifice unto idols. We just looking at this, we comparing spiritual things with spiritual. We know that an idol is nothing. You see, nothing. The nothing. It's there in the world. In that there is none other God but one. Yet, the worship of everything, it is worship for the nothing. And it separates the soul from everything. Solomon, with all his wisdom, was led to idolatry. That's why I got 2 Kings down. 1 Kings, it says, for it came to pass when Solomon was old, and his wife turned his heart away after other gods. His heart was not perfect with the Lord, his God, as was the heart of David, his father. He built these places for gods, of strange wives. The wisest man who ever lived, except that one person who said they're wiser, who concluded that all was vanity, and they fell to vanity. This is the power of smoke. The power to deceive even the wise. You got witchcraft. Witchcraft is even sorcery. To understand that is the pursuit of power and knowledge through the means forbidden by Jehovah. So it is the attempt to manipulate the spiritual realm through rituals, through spells, and pacts with lesser powers. And it appeared as secret knowledge. Well, you guys might have heard that. Have you ever seen people who have sororities and clubs where they got secret things? Like the Masons, they got secret signs and all this. Same thing. As control over one's destiny, as the ability to see and influence others that cannot. Yet, it's smoke. It's all in smoke. The power gained through witchcraft, shadowed through powers, becoming only from Jehovah, is to pack the adversary. It's the price of a soul, connection with the true source of power. Saul, the first king of Israel, Jehovah, departed. But I want to show you something. Let's build on this. In 1 Samuel 28 and 19, it tells us pretty straightforward. It says, moreover, the king will also deliver Israel unto thee in the hand of the Philistines, and tomorrow thou shalt and thy sons shall be with me, and the Lord shall deliver the host of Israel into the hands of the Philistines. Talking to Saul. Saul went to his death the next day. He saw substance through witchcraft. This is what happens. Hatred, variance, ill emotions, wrath, strife, all these. Hatred, variance, ill emotion, wrath, strife. All these. These are smoke, consuming fire. These are fires that burn within your carnal heart. How do we know? Because I'm going to show it to you. They appear as righteous anger. I'm going to say this again. They appear as righteous anger. They justify it as ambition. They're necessary to fight for what's right. They are consuming fires that produce nothing but destruction. I'm going to show it to you. I want you to see what's going on here. I'm showing you two places. In Genesis, we're going to look at 4 and 8. And we're going to go to another place in Genesis 37. And we're going to pick this up at verse 28. To show you how this works. See, Cain rose up against his brother Abel in wrath and envy. But you see it here, Cain spoke with his brother. And it come to pass after they were in the field, Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and slew him. Why? What did Cain gain? He gained curse. He was cursed. A fugitive, a vagabond. He gasped at smoke and was left with nothing but marked for sin. Same with Joseph and his brothers. To show you just how that works. All this works. Genesis 37:28 says they were passed by Midianites, merchantmen. And they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. And they brought Joseph into Egypt. Why, how can you do such a horrible thing? Their brother, all he's doing is telling them about dreams. And they hated him. They hated him because his father loved him. They believed they was ridding themselves of a rival. But they were just instruments at the hands of Jehovah for the purpose they could not even see. Their envy was smoke. Their envy was smoke. It moved as something, but it accomplished nothing in their intent. You follow me? It accomplished just nothing. It worked in his favor. You have sedition and heresies. It's still there. Seditions, heresies. Sedition, heresies are creations, are factual. These are false doctrine. They appear as a fight for truth. Seditions and heresies. They fight for truth, as established as a better system, or a purer, as Christians, like a purer belief. Yet they are rooted in pride and carnal minds, desires to be right, to be seen, to be followed. They scatter the flock and lead away the unity of the Spirit. See, Destiny has used heresies. He has used heresies to build his churches with the 66 books. Any church running around with a 66 book, even though many other ones are, but if your church uses a Bible that got 66 books, you in a false church. I don't care how you look at it. It's a false church anyway. People, you don't know yours? No, you'll see at the end. What about you? Yeah, I'll see at the end also. I know mine is a complete book. But the 66 books amputating the full testimony of Jehovah. For the amputated of a testimony, joined as a man of flesh, produces the mark of the beast. Not on the hand, but it's in the understanding. It's smoke. The false doctrine that appears as truth is going to lead to your death. Envying and murder, the accumulation of the carnal mind. It's all rebellion. It's all rebellion. And envy is poison that consumes itself, while murder is the ultimate temporal act and the destruction of the body. Yet, the murder is powerless over the eternal soul. Man can kill the body, but he cannot touch the spirit. He can grasp at the smoke and it is left with blood on the hand and judgment upon the soul. So when we're looking at the drunkenness and everything else, you got drunkenness and rivalries. They are the pursuit of escape from pain, the pursuit of inhibited pleasures. They promise joy, fellowship, freedom from the burdens of life, but they are temporal numberings and senses that solve no problem and provides no true joy. No true joy. They are the flight from reality. The ultimate leads into deeper sorrow. They are drunkards, awake in heavier burdens than before. The revilers find that the laughter that hollowed the fellowship was shallow. It's smoke. It moves as joy, but it's emptiness. So when we're looking at the money, it does the same thing. Same thing is we're gonna put some more up here. We're gonna look at 1 Timothy. 1 Timothy 6 and 10. And we also have Matthew 6:19. 6 and 19. So it's telling you right here, in the most universal form of vanity in this modern world, its promises of security, open doors, its command and respect, the chief wares, but the merchant of smoke. The scriptures is very unambiguous about vaporous nature. It's used to become the object of love and trust. And I want to show it to you where you see it. It says, for the love of money. You see, right? For the love of money is the root of all evil. While some covet after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through many sorrows. Exactly what's going on. See this? It says, lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust do corrupt, where thieves break through and steal. It makes all the sense in the world. See, money, when we're looking at this, money itself is not evil. I'm going to say this again. Money itself is not evil. It is a tool, it's a medium of exchange, necessary component for earthly life. The evil is the love of it. Everybody follow me? The evil is the love of it. The belief that it is the substance of life, the source of security, the measure of worth. So when money is loved, it becomes an idol. It becomes vanity. It is trust over the Creator. It is trusted over the Creator. I want you to consider something when you're looking at money. Money called the glitter of hardened sunlight. Did you know that? Money is called the glitter of hardened sunlight. Gold, silver shine that catches eye. They appear as something of great value, yet they are merely just elements of earth, shaped and polished by the hand of men. They cannot purchase a single breath from Jehovah, not one single breath from Him. Not one. People sit there, oh yeah, no, you can't purchase one single breath from Jehovah with money. And it shows you this as we sit there and see here. It says we brought nothing into this world, and we certainly can carry nothing out. Nothing's going to come out. They're just elements. They cannot purchase breath, and they can't even enter into the kingdom. And same as I showed you with Achan. We see this in Joshua 7:25. I showed you this. We looked at this earlier. And Joshua said, as I troubled us in the Lord this day, and all Israel stoned him with stones and burned him with fire. And they had stoned him with stones. It's Achan who took that Babylonian garment. These things happen. These things will continually happen to each and every one of us. So when we're looking at idolatry, we're looking at images, things that happens. Show you something that's really interesting. Really interesting. Something with Jesus, and I want to show it to you. In Matthew 16, 19:16, I'm going to read this down because I want to show you how he did this. In 16 it says, and remember he came unto him and said, Good master, what good things shall I do that I may have eternal life? He said unto him, Why thou callest me good? There is none good but one, that is God. But if thou wilt enter into life, keep the commandments. I want you to understand what's getting ready to happen here. Because he says unto him, which? Jesus said, Thou shalt do no murder, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness. Honor thy father and thy mother, and thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. And the young man said unto him, All these things have I done from my youth up. What lack I yet? Watch this. Jesus said unto him, If thou wilt be perfect, now if you'll be perfect, because you got this love of money, go sell all that thou hast and give unto the poor, and thou shalt have a treasure in heaven, and come and follow me. But when the young man heard that saying, he went away sorrowful, for he had great possessions. He was rich. Many people is not going to do this. See, when we're looking at man, and then even man created in the image of God, it's not inherently vanity. They are crowns of creation endowed with the spirit that commune with the Creator. Yet people become vanity when they are elevated to the status of an idol, when they are worshipped, when they are trusted as a source of life, security, or identity. That's what actually happens. To help you understand what I'm getting to, I just want to put some stuff here to where we can get some understanding as we go further. Psalms 146 and verse 3, but then we also want to put Jeremiah 17:5. So it's telling you, it says, Put not your trust in princesses, nor in the Son of Man. So don't put it in no people, in whom there is no help. Exactly. Don't put your trust in man. And the Lord said, Cursed be the man that trusteth the man, and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departed from the Lord. Because many of us going to always look to man, and that's what we're going to trust. That's why you got so many people so deceived in church building. They go to these buildings called churches, and they put all this trust. Whatever this man say, they think it's the word of God coming from, and that's own man's desire. We place the ultimate hope, trust, security actually in a person. People to be a spouse, a leader, a teacher, even ourselves. We are grasping at vapor. People who are fallible. They are mortal. They are subject to change, to sin, to death. To worship a person is to worship a fleeing image. You worship in a shadow. This is idolatry of the self. Many people worship a shadow. When we're looking at this, when we're looking at adulterers or idolaters, as worshiping idols as gods, fornicators, unfaithful idolaters, when the relationship is pursued purely at the carnal reason, fornication and temporal gratification, for the worship of beauty or strength, it becomes vanity, it's smoke. It moves as love, but it's lust. It moves as connection, but it's exploitation. So when we consider these things, we got to understand what we're doing. We have to purely understand what we're doing. Remember this? I want to show you something. I want you to see something. I want you to think about this. We was here earlier. He said, I'm going to put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. Remember that? destiny methods. He operates through visible. He operates through visible. And since he cannot create, he corrupts what Jehovah has made good. He takes the beauty of a woman and makes it a snare. He takes the strength of a man and makes it a sword. He takes the desires of worship and turns it into idolatry. He uses similitude, visible things that appeal to the carnal eye and to the fleshly appetite. To pull more of what I'm saying here, we're going to look at this as we come into a close on this. In 1 John, we're going to see something. 1 John chapter 2, looking at verse 16. It says, for all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. It's of the world. You see here, as we continually move forward, 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7. Actually, I want to pair one with it. We're going to look at Colossians also. Colossians 3:2. So it says, for we walk by faith, not by sight. That's actually the point. And set your afflictions on things above, not on things of the earth. See, we are called to follow Christ, not to have our sights set on things that we always sitting there by sight, what we see. So when you're sitting there seeing that, let me put this back here. I might have to put it, but I know it was over there. But let me put this back over here, because I want to go one more verse. So it says, "Love not the world, neither things in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not the love of the Father, but it's of the world." This is so true. Because we have so many people going to follow everything, but they're going to make an excuse for what they do. They're going to make an excuse for what they do. We have to understand what we're doing. The world here is not the physical earth that you think. Jehovah created everything here, said is good. It's a system. Everybody understand it? It's a system. Destiny, this is the marketplace of the nothing. To love the world is to love the wares of the merchant of smoke, the place of your affliction, your hope, your identity, the things that are, by their very nature, of nothing, vanity, vapor, smoke. So you cannot love the nothing and love the Father or love everything. You cannot serve Jehovah and Mammon. He tells you this. It's right up front. And same thing. I'm going to take you back to it where you can sit there and see it. This will be your first time seeing it, but I just want to show it to you to where you'll know where I'm coming from. It says, no man can serve two masters. Either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and Mammon. You cannot do it. It's impossible. You're going to hate one and love the other. So the nothing is so real, substantial, is desirable until it actually to where you try to hold it. And then it dissipates like smoke. It's empty. You follow me? So besides going through things, even with the parable final verse, to apply directly to the present, nothing is new under the sun. The same nothing that deceived Adam, the same identical nothing that deceived Adam, it deceived Samson. The same the one that deceived Samson deceived David. The same one that did David, it did Solomon. Did everybody. That's how good he is. So as I said, no man can serve two masters. To understand that you have to choose this day who you're going to serve. I'm going to leave this with you just so you can really see it. In Ecclesiastes 12, 13 and 14, it says, hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God, keep his commandments. This is the whole duty of man. For God shall bring every work into judgment. Either you're doing things of vanity or you're doing things according to God. And everything, in every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. Hopefully, everyone here, we got some understanding here on what was going on what was being said. We're going to go into Zoom, and we have people, same I was saying, we're going to go in there, and new people, you can come back there, you can introduce yourselves. I know a lot of people, they looking to be baptized and things like that. So you're more than welcome to come back there. And everybody else is welcome to be back there. And as we continually move forward. And we have to just keep that a little bit more. Keep what we're doing more. So we're going to go in the back. We got some announcements for the Passover that's coming up. And then we do have the kids' classes that's going to go on. We're going to move forward. And then we're going to go from there. So hopefully that each and every person, because I do know on tomorrow we will have Deaconette. We'll have that going on. And hopefully that you guys understand the parable a lot better based on what was given out. So until we meet again next time, I'll say to each and every one of you guys, until then, I'll say to you, Shalom.